The village of Iziama was old, so old that even the elders could not remember its beginning. Nestled between vast golden fields and dense green forests, it thrived under the watchful eye of the Moon River, a winding body of water that had blessed the land with its richness for generations. By day, the river shimmered under the sun, its waters pure and cool, a lifeline for the people. But on the first night of every full moon, the river changed. Under the silver glow, the waters turned a deep, unnatural red, like spilled wine, like blood stretching across the land. And on these nights, the village elders gathered at the river's edge, murmuring prayers, their voices heavy with reverence and fear. "Do not drink from the river tonight," they warned, "for the river remembers." It was a rule passed from generation to generation, but never explained. To most, it was an unbreakable law. To Abeni, it was nothing more than a story meant to keep children obedient. Abeni was not like the other girls in the village. Where they followed tradition without question, she asked why. Where others whispered about spirits and curses, she laughed and called them tales for the weak-minded. So, when the full moon rose, painting the land in silver and shadow, and the river once again turned red, she did not bow her head in prayer. She did not turn away. Instead, she walked to the water's edge alone. The night was eerily quiet. Even the crickets, the frogs, and the owls held their breath. The river, now the color of old blood, flowed slower, as if thickened by time itself. Abeni knelt. She cupped her hands, dipping them into the crimson water. It felt cold, colder than any water should feel in the warm night air. Still, she lifted her hands to her lips and drank. The moment the water touched her tongue, a chill rushed down her spine. The air grew heavy, pressing against her skin like unseen hands. And then, she heard it. A voice. No, not a single voice, many voices, whispering, murmuring, crying. The river was speaking. Abeni gasped, stepping back, but the voices did not stop. At first, they were nothing but echoes. Then, they became clear. "You have tasted memory," the voices sighed. "And now, you will see." The world around Abeni shifted. The forest faded, the moonlight dimmed, and suddenly, she was no longer standing at the riverbank. She was somewhere else. A village, her village, but different. The huts were simpler, the trees younger. Figures moved through the streets, people long dead, their faces twisted with worry. And at the center of it all, a woman stood. She was young, with dark, braided hair and sorrow in her eyes. Her wrists were bound, her feet bare. Abeni watched in horror as the villagers dragged the woman to the river. The same river. But here, in this memory, it was not red. It was clear, innocent. The elders stood in a tight circle. One of them, a man Abeni recognized, her own great-grandfather, raised his hands. "Forgive us, river," he said, his voice cracking. "Forgive us and give us rain." And then, before Abeni could scream, before she could stop it, they threw the woman into the water. The river swallowed her. And the moment her body disappeared beneath the surface, the skies opened and the rain poured down. The vision shattered. Abeni found herself back at the riverbank, her knees in the dirt, her breath ragged. But she was not alone. A shadow stood before her, the woman from the vision. Her skin was damp, her clothes still clinging to her body as if she had just climbed out of the water. But her eyes were ancient. "You know now," the woman whispered. Abeni could not speak. "They sacrificed me for rain," the woman continued. And the river never forgot. The voices swirled again, the whispers turning into pleas, sorrow, anger. The river had been crying for generations, and no one had listened. Until now. The woman reached out, placing a wet, icy hand on Abeni's forehead. "The river remembers, but will you?" Abeni gasped as a rush of memories not her own flooded into her pain, betrayal, drowning silence. She stumbled back, her heart pounding. The river swirled, watching, waiting. She had a choice. She could go back to the village, tell them the truth, break the silence, force them to face their past. or she could stay silent as generations had before her. The wind howled. The water lapped at the shore. The sky brightened as dawn approached. And Abeni stepped forward. Her voice, steady and clear, rose above the whispers. "I will remember." The river let out a deep, slow sigh. The red waters began to fade, turning back to silver. The whispers softened, retreating into the depths. The woman smiled. Then, like mist in the morning light, she disappeared. As the sun broke over the horizon, Abeni turned toward the village, knowing the truth would no longer be buried. Because now, she carried the river's memory. And the river would never have to cry alone again. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. What do you think Abeni should do next? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, some stories are meant to be told, and some are meant to be remembered.